This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. I hope that we get to do that at the end of today's episode. We're talking about something that happened 10 years ago. Of course, in WWE, it's Fatal 4-Way 2010. And that pay-per-view went down on June 20th at the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York. It draws 10,000 fans. And this is the first and only Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view. 3 of the 8 matches on the card are Fatal 4-Way matches. I don't know that you and I ever really talked about that, but I know a lot of old timers prefer the one-on-one match. They don't like the 3-way dance or the triple threat or the Fatal 4-Way or whatever you call it. Do you remember being in a Fatal 4-Way match in your career, or is this something that became a phenomenon post your in-ring career?
Yeah, I was never in one. I'm not a fan of having 4 in one night, as you can imagine. If done properly, and they're the only one that night, they can be exciting, but 4 of 2 of anything is just too much.
Yeah, they maybe overdo it a little bit here. Talk to us, about your thoughts on the psychology of a multiple person match. I mean, we just saw a few weeks ago, there was a little bit of controversy because the women headlined the NXT takeover show, and Charlotte Flair lost the belt, but she wasn't actually pinned. Rhea took the pin, and now we've got a new champion, and Charlotte never lost in the process. I guess that is a way to, quote unquote, protect certain talent. Is that the reason you think these became more popular? You could, say, how, look at all this talent in the ring, but at the same time protect a guy, or are you not a fan of that concept?
Well, let me just lay out some of the rules and some of the unspoken rules and let the audience decide. Okay. On a Fatal 4-Way, technically there are no countouts, and technically it's a no DQ. Okay. Number one, 4 guys, if they're all fighting at once, which 2 are you going to watch?
Right.
So immediately your attention is split. If you have 2 sets of guys that are fighting on opposite sides of the ring, the attention span is split. If technically there are no countouts, then a guy can lay out there for what seems like an eternity, and everybody on that side of the arena is screaming, "Get up, get up, get up, get up." If you're one of those guys laying there, that feels terrible as a talent. So if there is no DQ, common sense prevailing, what would prevent a guy from sliding under the ring right out of the chute and grabbing a chair and going to work?
Right.
Nothing. What would stop a guy from reaching under there and grabbing a wrench and going to work? Nothing. So it's supposed to be that we as creative have to make sure that we just don't push that envelope, and hopefully the audience is not just sitting there going, okay, this is legal, this is not, this is perfectly fine, what are they waiting on? Because technically it could turn into a TLC match, couldn't it?
Sure.
Of course it could. So if you're sitting there and you're really in tune to the product, you're going, well, why don't they? Well, the idea is if just like as we're chronologically going through the matches today, that very first match could do all those things, but then what do you do for the next 3?
Right.
So what you have to do is compare notes, sit down with the other producers, make sure that you're not doing 2 of the same thing and that all the matches look different. Now that takes quite a bit of work if you're talking about getting 4 sets of talent all together during the day and comparing notes and getting those guys in the other matches to stick to their word and not doing anything extra. But as we know, the higher you are up the food chain, the more things you're allowed to do.
Sure.
That you go back and talk to Vince in the afternoon, a little later, and okay, so-and-so got this put through, and which you never hear about once you break that one meeting. What are you guys doing? And we all separate and we go about getting our matches ready to go. You never hear about the ones that just got snuck in there at the last minute. But in the overall look of the show, it makes things look a lot different. If that makes any sense.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate that you sort of broke down the way that would work as an agent, just trying to work with those sets of talent. Well, I'm glad that he got some relief here. Let's talk about somebody else who probably needed a little relief. It makes the Observer that Vince McMahon showed up to TV with 2 black eyes and a cut over one eye that goes into his forehead. And nobody seems to know what happens, but everybody's whispering about it privately, and Vince never addresses it. And most people say it looks like he was in a fight or some kind of accident. Do you remember Vince showing up to work a little worse for wear? And what was everybody thinking when the commander in chief doesn't quite look like himself?
No, that's another one of those things that slipped by me that I missed or I've forgotten or, I don't remember that. If anybody out there has the info though, or the Skippy, I'd love to hear it.
Absolutely, we would. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.